All right, in this video, we are talking to Daniel Rapaport, who just left Golf Digest to join Barstool Sports and the Foreplay guys. Very interesting conversation. D-Rap is a young guy, but he's been working in Big J, old head golf media journalism for a long time. And we talked about how he made the leap, how he kind of arrived to this epiphany that it was time for him to do something different. Talked about meeting the Barstool Foreplay guys, Dave Portnoy. It's a pretty cool story for D-Rap, and we're excited for him. He's going to be a guy you're going to want to follow if you follow the world of professional golf. We talked about his trip to Costa Rica when he hung out with Morgan Hoffman for a few days. He wrote that very infamous article about Morgan Hoffman's health journey and the battle for his own health and some of the stranger things that he's doing in Costa Rica to do so, or he did in Costa Rica. That was very interesting. And of course, we talked about Live and the PGA Tour and maybe some parallels between what Live is doing and what Barstool's done in the media space. So, very interesting conversation. We think you'll enjoy it. D-Rap's a good dude. Follow him if you don't already. Go ahead and like the video, please. Whenever you start to watch it and you're like, yeah, I like this, go ahead and hit the like button when the thought crosses your mind. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And I do want to remind you, we've got 2 weekly emails that go out every Tuesday and every Wednesday that there's a golf tournament, and they are a fantastic resource. If you are betting or playing DFS, whether it's big or small, these 2 emails will help you out. The heavy petting email drops on Tuesdays. That's the foreplay. To the big email on Wednesdays, the famous chalk bomb. Again, whether you're betting or playing DFS, both emails will help you tremendously, and they're both free. So join thousands of other subscribers. Click in the link in this description below and subscribe if you haven't already. Let's get to Dan Rappaport. What's going on, golf addicts? DB back here. I got a special guest on the show. You know, normally we stick to players and caddies and coaches on the show, but I thought we'd mix it up. We've done some media people, media personalities before in the past, but I wanted to bring in our boy Daniel Rappaport, D-Rap as he's known. Thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah, no, I'm stoked to be here. Thanks for having me.
Listen, if people don't know, I mean, which I'm sure they do. I mean, you've got like a ton more followers than we do. You're a big guy in the golf world. Golf Digest, formerly also, I think, Sports Illustrated. And now with Barstool Foreplay, just recently, man, I saw the article. I read the article, looked at a bunch of the tweets. Very cool to see. So I want to get into that. Actually, I'll start off by saying, how's first week on the job? Are you at home or have you been able to go into the Barstool office yet?
Yeah, I was just there earlier today. I'm home now because we were talking about this. I'm getting ready to go to my bachelor party tomorrow. So they were like, you know what, go home, get mentally ready. But no, I went in a couple times earlier this week, and I went in last week to sort of meet everybody. It's good. You know, it's like in my head, I made this decision a long time ago. So, you know, some of the shine, so to speak, is worn off, right? Like in my head, the whole like, oh my God, I work for Barstool. That was kind of like in July.
Yeah.
Beginning of August. And that was tough too, because I was keeping a secret, which is I'm not very good at, you know, as my friends know. But yeah, it's exciting. It's going to be a learning process. I don't know exactly what it's going to look like. I don't know how much I'm going to be writing. I don't know how many events I'm going to go to. All this stuff is going to be a little bit of trial and error, but it's a significant pivot for me in my career. I'm under no illusions that, you know, Barstool is a similar place to Golf Digest. It's obviously very different, but just something that I felt like I was ready for. And I sound like a live golfer, but yeah, I thought long and hard about it, and you know, this is what I think is best for me. So I'm super happy.
Yeah. Well, congratulations on getting married too. By the way, that's coming up.
Thank you.
That's a party in Vegas. I mean, that's perfect for a guy who just jumped ship to go to Barstool.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
Bachelor Vegas parties are the best.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm the first one of my friends, so I kind of crowdsourced it to them. I was like, "What do you guys want to do? Where should we go?" And they were just like, there is no need to reinvent the wheel. Like, let's just do Vegas.
So how old are you?
I'm 27.
27. That's a good age to get married. Definitely a good age.
I'll be 28 when we get married, but yeah.
Yeah, I got married way too young. Your brain is fully developed. You got a big brain in that head of yours too, so you should be good.
How old were you?
How old was I when I got married?
Yeah.
I was 23 when I got married.
Are you still married?
Yeah, same girl.
Okay, so then you weren't that too young.
Just celebrated 15 years. I'll be 39 here in a couple months.
So it worked out. You weren't too young.
Oh no, we about killed each other, man. Listen, you'll learn. We'll have you on in another year, and I'll be like, hey, Daniel, tell me all the little things that you do on a daily basis that you've done the last X years of your life that irritate the living shit out of your wife, and you'll be able to rattle off like 3 or 4 things.
Oh, I am absolutely sure. Sorry, my thing keeps beeping. It's a new computer. I'm gonna shut it off. But yeah, no, we're going strong right now. But I'm sure there'll be. I mean, the travel's already driving her crazy. So you know how it
You're
is.
gonna be traveling, you're gonna be playing some golf. I know you're a stick. You instantly become the best golfer on Barstool Foreplay. Actually, just I was walking down 10 fairway at Eastlake with John Tillery, a friend of ours, Coach John Tillery, and I actually asked him because he's tried to help me with my game a little
I
bit.
saw he said that he thinks Riggs is better than you.
Yeah, dude, and I mean, I know Riggs has been grinding. I see it. But I don't think he is, and it really disappointed me. Now, I know you're better than me, so had I asked that question just a week later, I would have known the answer. JT would have changed his answer, would have all been good. You're gonna get to play a lot more golf, buddy. I know you're pumped about that.
Yeah, it's just super, super, super different. Like where I went to journalism school, and before
Yeah,
Golf Digest, I worked at Sports Illustrated, and one of the key principles is like you're never the story, right? Like you're here to relay other people's story. You're here to tell other people's story, um, which is what I thought and what I believed and what I was doing for the past 5 years. So it's definitely like weird for me to have the camera kind of turn the other way.
yeah,
I was reading. Someone sent me some Reddit thread. There's like a Barstool Reddit community, and they were talking about me and my college and my fiance, and it's just very strange to me that there's people out there
yeah,
who care about us and what we do. But there are, and it's really cool. But I'm still getting used to the idea of like me going out, the four of us going out and playing golf and having the cameras on, and that being the product as
yeah,
opposed to
yeah.
watching someone else playing golf and sort of telling their story. So it's really, really different.
So, I read your article, and I remember when this went down, the whole Barstool versus old head media situation.
Hmm.
We were very much riding the Barstool coattails on that one as we considered ourselves new media. We started in 2015 before the podcast boom, and felt the little bit of the struggle in terms of like at that time at least getting access at the PGA Tour the way we wanted it, dealing with professional golfers at the level we wanted to without being big J journalists. It was very hard. We had people, that didn't like the way we presented some of our content as well, and it rubbed people the wrong way or whatever. But we're still here. And I remember when that went down. I know Jeff Shackelford was like the other side of it for Old Head Media, and you talked about how that was kind of this aha moment for you when you kind of realized like, man, I'm a 20 young year old,
I was 24.
24. Yeah,
Yeah.
and kind of realizing like, man, I relate more to this Barstool vibe, but I'm in this old media thing. Like, I guess talk through that. And weren't you did you were you on the side of did you like kind of go after Barstool during that time or no? Am I
No,
I'm
no, I was
misremembering
smart.
that.
I was smart enough to not do that. I
Good.
don't want to cross any stoolies. Yeah, it was. I just, as we kind of talked about, like I wanted to get into that world of being in the media center and interviewing players and being at the press conferences. Like that was for me, that was the goal. And so I had done it, and I was at the President's Cup, and I was super excited. And then these guys come in who didn't go to journalism school,
Yeah.
don't write articles, and I think it was a very stark reminder or eye opener just about how media is changing, and how maybe I wanted to do this and write magazines, but that just wasn't the way that the media was trending. And no matter how much you want something personally, you sort of have to have your eyes open and realize what the actual trends are and what
Yeah.
consumers are vibing with. And I just grew to believe over the next 2 or 3 years that while I really liked what I was doing, I don't know how much appeal it had to the general public, especially to the younger audience. And so you just got to do some soul searching about like, do I want to, in my case, I thought like stubbornly continue down this path where, I know I can do this. I know I can cover tour events. I know I could write. I know I can do that stuff for Golf Digest.
Yeah.
Or do I want to try to get on the right side of momentum and get on the right side of media and move over into, more of a situation of like what you guys do and what Barstool does? Like, so it took a lot of soul searching, really. Like, because again, I went to school for this. My first two jobs were in like the very much buttoned up media world. And so to finally convince yourself or start to believe that, okay, it's okay to move away from this. That was tough. That was
Yeah.
difficult. But thankfully Barstool came along and made me an offer, and it happened quickly at the end. But it was a long process of me of feeling like I was doing a really good job and feeling like I was doing exactly what I was doing, but just not feeling that much growth or that much momentum.
Yeah. Do you feel like you're gonna have the same level of access that you used to have when you were for Golf Digest, a buttoned up Big J journalist outfit, in terms of PGA Tour events? Because I mean, it doesn't seem. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't feel like a lot of the times I see the Barstool guys on the grounds doing media stuff. It's usually not with regular run of the mill PGA Tour events, is it?
That's correct. I think part of the reason of that is they don't really want to.
Gotcha.
Like that's not really their shtick.
Yep.
It is my shtick. I'm going to the President's Cup with a media credential. I applied for my season long PGA Tour credential for the next year. I'm expecting to get it. Um, I think there's a lot of people at the PGA Tour who know sort of what I was conveying to you earlier, that media is changing, and the some of the guys or people in the media center who write for these local magazines or local news stations or even national news stations, like it's no disrespect at all to what they're doing, but the reach is just not the same.
No.
And it's a media center, right? It's not a journalism center, right? It should be a place where the tour or whoever is trying to reach people, and we have a very large audience and a very large following. And I think there is definitely a younger contingent. In fact, I know there's a younger contingent at the PGA Tour who works in the comm staff
Yep.
and the media staff who know what's going on, and they like Barstool, and they wish that there could be a stronger relationship there. But I've said this to the guys, to the Barstool guys, it's like the way they acted in the past definitely didn't help their cause, right? Like going in there and starting fights and not following rules. I totally get it from like a content perspective, but the tour is a very buttoned up
Yeah. Yeah.
place, and it's a big ship, and so they're used to doing things and dealing with a certain type of person and a certain type of media outlet.
Yeah.
And when someone comes in and doesn't follow the rules and is really disruptive, that's obviously going to strike some people the wrong way.
Yeah.
So, but I've been dealing with the PJ Tour people for the last couple of years. I've been at a bunch of events. I know these people. They know me. I'm hopeful that, and this is something that I've spoken to Riggs and to Barstool about, is like, I wanted them to hire me for me,
Yeah.
not to just become Barstoolized. So I'll be there all week at the President's Cup. I intend to still go to, the big tournaments and do my thing on the ground. But again, it's going to be a bit of a learning curve and a learning process to see what works and what doesn't.
I mean, obviously, live is the topic of conversation everywhere. I mean, we're primarily a betting and daily fantasy show, but we still are talking about live all the time. It's a hot topic. Obviously, we're covering live from a betting perspective. From a Tour Junkies HQ side of things, like Pat, my co-host, is very much anti-live. I am kind of on the fence. I see some redeeming things about it. I obviously see the things that are nasty about it. We've gotten to have a small peek behind the curtain of the PGA Tour on a couple of occasions, probably not to the extent you have, and it felt a lot of what you're talking about, coming in as kind of that new version of media with a squirrel mascot. Doesn't really fit in all that well at the RSM Classic Media Center to a lot of those guys. So my question is, like, don't you think it kind of? I was thinking about your situation today and thinking about your experience at the 2019 President's Cup and the aha moment, like the old head media versus the new Barstool thing, and it kind of draws similarities to live in the PGA Tour at the moment, right? Like there are some factors about live. I was just talking to my son about this the other day, who's 12 years old, and he's wondering why, what the deal is with live. And, I'm explaining to him some of the differences. They play freaking music during music's blaring at the driving range, right? That's not happening at the PGA Tour. I mean, god dang, we're not that far removed from when like Brendan Steele ripped a hole into Willie Wilcox for playing music on the driving range out of a small Bluetooth speaker. And then Liv's got Commissioner Greg Norman pouring beers down the gullets of patrons. Like, sorry, I'm gonna gust. I say patrons, but like, do you see those similarities where, like, in ways, Live feels like the Barstool Professional Golf Association? And I know you've covered a lot of Live stuff, but like, what are your thoughts in general in terms of the good things that are going on over there versus, what the PGA Tour needs to continue to look at changing? You know what you need to do? Subscribe to the Nut Hut. Why have you not done that yet? It's $10 a month. Let me tell you something. We have had hundreds, actually now over 1,000 of members join the Nut Hut. our Discord server, right? In the last couple of years since we started it in 2020. And do you know that anyone that has ever been in the Nut Hut for 3 months or longer, that's actually been active, that's actually been engaged, has made more than enough of their money back to be a member forever. It happens every week. We get somebody that emails us or DMs us or slides in our Discord DMs and says, guys, I just paid for X number of years Nut Hut membership because of the Nut Hut. Okay, $10 a month. That's literally nothing. That's absolutely nothing. It's a Discord server. It's a beautiful thing. If you feel intimidated, if you're like, I've never been on Discord, don't worry about it. It's easy. I promise. Just get in there and mix it up. If Pat can figure it out, your granddad can figure it out. Okay. And if you've been in a Discord server before, I promise you this one's as good as it gets. All the inside golf information that we get straight from the course every week is in there. Plus, there's a ton of sharp players, a ton of sharp DFS players and bettors in the Nut Hut that are members. Since we started the Nut Hut on Discord just over 2 years ago, $5 million documented has been won by members of the Nut Hut. That's screenshots sent in to the Nut Hut Hall of Fame, which is a thread that you can scroll and see for yourself in the Discord server. People win a ton of money. There's no reason you shouldn't be doing this. Even if you don't want to get in there and be active and engaged and talk a lot, if you just follow along and you troll a little bit, we promise you'll make your money back. So what are we doing? Golf's year round. Get in the Nut Hut and make it happen. If you don't want to bet on golf in the fall, if it's football season, or if you don't like it when it's the NBA's heating up in the summer, no big deal. We got NBA channels, we got NFL channels, we got baseball, UFC, every sport you can imagine is all in the Nut Hut, and there are experts in every channel helping you out, really sharp listeners and viewers, and it's building a great community. So get in the Nut Hut. The link is in the description below. Get in there now. It's $10 a month. Do it right now. All right, back to the episode.
Yeah, it's an interesting parallel for sure. I think Liv right now is in the business of being the anti-PGA Tour. So
Right.
whatever the PGA Tour does, Liv's going to do the opposite,
Right.
right? The PGA Tour has all these very strict rules about who you can bring inside the ropes, and you
Live.
can't film this or that. Liv is like, do whatever you want to do.
Yep.
The PGA Tour is giving out courtesy cars. Liv is, having given everybody a driver for the week. Basically, they're just trying to do whatever the opposite of what the PGA Tour does. So,
Yeah.
you've seen they've had, I think it's like Country Club with Jason, I think is the
Yep.
podcast that they've had around a lot, kind of cracking jokes during press conferences, and they're just trying to draw a stark divide between what their tournaments look and feel like and what the PGA Tour tournaments look and feel like. So yeah, I think you're onto something for sure. Whereas like they feel like they are clearly trying to appeal to a younger demographic. I think that's really clear with the way it's presented with the marketing, right? It's like big and bold and
Yeah.
all these capital letters, and the PGA Tour kind of feels more like mom and poppy, kind of more Grant Thornton, like sell insurance type of thing. It's definitely different with the live stuff that, more generally speaking, I think the idea of having a set number of events that all the players are going to play in, the PGA Tour has already taken that. I mean, that's something that has been one of the huge issues
Yeah.
for professional golf for a long time. How can we get the best players in the world to play against each other more often?
Yeah.
Well, Liv came around and they're like, all right, we gotta have these 14 events and every player is going to play in all of them. That's a really attractive thing to a television broadcaster. That's really attractive to sponsors, because they know that if I pay for this money, I'm going to get exactly who I think I'm going to get at this tournament. You
Right.
think about like an AT&T who sponsors the Pebble Beach event, and that tournament's just been decimated the last 2 years by the Saudi International. They're not getting their money back, right? They still have to pay the prize fund, even if it's to guys that they didn't expect to be there. They don't want winning their tournament. They want someone big winning their tournament. So that's one of the main things that I think is really different. And the PGA Tour has looked at that and said, we need to incorporate that is just having a defined schedule where you know who you're going to see. And I think, the 54 holes thing, I don't think that's anything. I don't think it makes really a big difference. I don't think that people are going to really like or gravitate toward that a lot. I don't think everyone's, you shorten it one day and all of a sudden you get this huge audience. I don't think that the shotgun start is really that, transformative. Maybe it's good from a TV perspective, but the TV are only really following the last couple groups anyway. It's not like it's not like everyone has to watch 9 hours if they want to watch the golf on Sunday.
Right.
But I do think this idea of having a schedule where exactly who's going to be playing and when they're going to be playing, that seems to be the main thing that I think is just an indisputable good for golf.
Yeah, 100%. I wanted to ask you, so I know we got a limited time here, and I wanna make sure I get a couple things in. Your Morgan Hoffman story, which I think went really, really well. It was a incredible piece. It did take me a while to read it. It was quite lengthy,
It was
uh,
long.
but it was interesting. And I know you put it all out there, but I'm curious to know if there was one thing or one experience or one thing that didn't make it into that story, or just an interesting thing because you
um,
go and spend that much time with him in that
yeah.
environment.
I just had, I thought about discussing this in the story, but it was already long enough. That trip had a very personal impact on me.
Really?
Like, yeah, the next week or two, it stayed with me. Like, I live in New York City, which is the most concrete,
Yep,
sort of capitalism everywhere, and just chaos in the streets, and
yep,
there's no real visible life around. It's concrete everywhere. And you go into the jungle, really, of Costa Rica, and people are living off the land, and they seemed happier.
yeah,
They're barefoot, and they're smoking weed in the morning, and they're just picking you know fruit and that they're eating out of their backyard. And
yep,
it was just really eye-opening that there's a lot of different ways to reach that sort of level of contentment that people have when their head hits the pillow, of just being happy when they go to sleep and happy when they wake up. And just the joy that I saw down there, the people that I spoke to at the time. I mean, I just had such a good time that I got back to New York, and it was like culture shock.
yep,
I actually think I went to Chicago afterwards, because it was right around Thanksgiving, and I was at my fiance's family's house. And I think, we went from in Costa Rica, we were eating like nuts and fruit right
great.
off the land and fresh grown. I think we ordered like pizza and wings that night. And I was just like, this is the most different it could possibly
Yep.
be. So I think just the personal impact it had on me, and I've tried to eat a little better, and be more conscious about, what I'm putting into my body and stuff, just because you go down there, and it will definitely stick with you.
Are there any stories or topics or things that you felt like you couldn't have done at Golf Digest, or were turned down at Golf Digest, that like when you knew you were doing the Barstool thing, you're like, man, I cannot wait because I know they'll say yes to XYZ. Like, what is that? Or maybe give us a little preview of what, if you know of what is coming out of
Yeah.
coverage or teaser.
Yeah. I think I'm going to be doing a lot more video storytelling, which wasn't really uh, a big part of my job at Golf Digest.
Yeah.
I think Barstool has a lot more resources, as far
Yes.
as, we have full-time producers and
Yep.
video editors and cameramen, and they have such a strong relationship with their advertisers that you come to them with an idea and it sounds good, and they'll sell it and they'll get it made, right? Like, as long as someone wants to sponsor it, as long as it makes sense financially, it will happen. They basically seem to, they don't really hire people like right out of college to be on sort of the talent side. They hire people who they know are proven and who they believe have their finger on the pulse of whatever
Yeah.
sport they're covering or whatever niche they're covering, and then they just kind of turn them loose. So there's a couple things I hope coming down the road that are going to be some more video stuff that's not just not the podcast. It's going to be scripted
Yeah.
storytelling, or sort of these kind of mini documentary type stuff that which is such a logistical hurdle at Golf Digest. And
Yeah.
I can't do it myself. I can't really shoot video. I don't know really how to edit any of that stuff.
Yeah.
And at Digest, it just felt like the resources weren't quite there. Whereas at Barstool, it's like, okay, I have this idea for a video series where I go do this, this, this. And they're like, oh, we can do that. Like, we have people who can do that for you. So it's just more resources.
I like it. I love that. I think that'll be interesting. You'll be good at that. Little Barstool Jimmy Roberts, maybe
Yeah,
occasionally.
hopefully not quite so sappy, but yes.
Occasionally, though, you got to draw a tear out of us. Occasionally, even the Barstool crowd. So have you had a meeting yet with the big guy, with Portnoy yet? You had a chance to?
I have not. No,
I
I
saw
saw
the
him in the
text
office.
message about him approving
Yeah,
the hire, which is funny.
I saw it. I saw him in the office. This was last week, I think, and I hadn't like officially signed, or I mean, I'd signed, but there was no announcement. And you walk into the office and there's just like cameras everywhere, like
Yeah.
they're just shooting everything. So
Yeah.
I was having this conversation, and he kind of walks around the corner, and I could tell that I was like in the through shot of the camera, and I was like, I think I'm gonna walk this way because I don't want to spoil this at all. Haven't met him yet. I've met Erica, spoken to Erica a few times. Portnoy, I saw he tweeted something nice, said I was
Yep.
like too good for them or something.
Yep.
Someone sent me a clip of him saying something similar on the Dave Portnoy show yesterday. But no, I haven't met him. But I've been told that the way to handle that is like if you see him, like, go up to him, shake his hand, like
Yeah.
be a normal person, because it's
Yeah.
almost like dogs, like when they sense
They
fear, and
smell
I think
weakness
that's
and
when
fear.
that's exactly that's when they pounce.
Do you plan on like I mean I think your addition will also be a great thing for Trent and his game. Just having a better player that he can play regularly with. So hopefully you can help Trent because I mean I feel bad for Trent. I've watched him struggle now for a couple years trying to break 90 and I guess he got there or he's getting there. But it's rough. So Godspeed to you because I feel like you being the better player in the group, he's going to lean on you. When he doesn't have
I
Jimmy.
think so. It seems like it'll be like Trent and I versus the other two, because they're close in handicap now. I think they're both like right around 4 or 5 or 3 in that range, and I'm a
Yeah,
little better than that. And Trent's probably more in like the 16, 17, 18 range.
yeah.
So
You can get
usually
there.
you go high low.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, good luck to you. Hey, Dan, we appreciate you coming on, man. Best of luck to you at Barstool and obviously the wedding situation. Hope you make good choices in Vegas. Okay, good choices in Vegas.
Just the least bad choices.
What's your gambling plan of attack? I mean, this is a gambling show, so I do have to ask you that before you get off. Of
I like to go into a casino, and the first thing I do is put a sum on red and
Okay,
just see where we're at. And I
it's
think,
like 47% hit rate
yeah,
there.
exactly. Have all the boys there hyping me up.
Yep.
That moment
Okay.
when the ball is spinning is going to be electric. If it hits, it's going to be insane. If not, it'll be really, really quiet. And
Okay.
that's so we'll
That's the
go
only
from
thing you got.
there. We'll go from there, and then we'll see what happens. If it
You
hits,
just
then we'll be in good shape.
when you get there and you do it, you need to tweet out the red hit or red didn't hit, and
Oh,
we'll
trust
all
me,
know.
I'll keep you all posted for sure.
No time in the sports book or anything? Throwing down any bets on college
Definitely,
football?
definitely. There's college football going on. I'm going with some of my friends are like way more into it than I am, so I'm just going to tail them. I don't
Yeah,
pretend to know all that much about college football, but some of my friends are like deep in it.
yeah.
So, oh, definitely. Saturday night, I think we don't have any night plans after dinner, so definitely be in the sports book, just watching and drinking beers and
Your
eating wings.
Northwestern team
I
the other.
know, big start. The QB looked good. QB
Jeez.
looked good. Holinsky, yeah, they played well. I mean, Nebraska, I don't think is a very good. Their program's not in a very good spot, but anytime Northwestern's 1-0,
Yeah,
we're stoked on that.
you're happy.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Dan. We appreciate everybody needs to follow Dan on Twitter. You probably already do. What's the handle at Dan?
Daniel underscore Rappaport.
Daniel underscore Rappaport underscore. Oh, we're underscore too.
Big
Awesome.
underscore guys.
Thank you, man. We appreciate it. Have a great bachelor trip, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks. See you, dude.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate you. Be
Yep.
safe.
Much love. Later.